Picking out a car audio amplifier can be a tricky task. How many channels do I get? How much power do I really need? What do things like THD and damping factor mean? Stay with us as we go over the top 5 things to consider when picking out a car audio amplifier. Hey, what's up? Josh here from Breakers Stereo and Performance. Welcome to our channel that reviews all the best in car audio, performance, suspension, and more, because we don't drive stock. And if you're like us, where stock just doesn't cut it, make sure to subscribe to this channel. If you watched our video entitled How to Pick Out Speakers, you know we start with the speakers first. If you haven't watched that video, make sure to go back and watch that video first if you haven't picked out speakers yet. But if you got your speakers, let's continue. Okay, so let's go over the top 5 things you need to consider when buying an amplifier for your vehicle. First, we'll list them and then we'll go over them in details. Number 1, how many channels do I need? Number 2, match power handling with RMS output. Number 3, frequency range. Number 4, THD or total harmonic distortion. And number 5, damping factor. Okay, let's start with the first thing to consider. How many channels do I need? Okay, so the most common setup for a vehicle with a full system is 2 amplifiers, a 4-channel amp and a monoblock amp. Now your monoblock amp will run your subwoofer or subwoofers, and the 4-channel amp will power your front stage and your rear fill speakers. But if you're going with a set of components for the front stage, you may want to consider a 6-channel amplifier. Doing so gives you an extra 2 channels to run the tweeters independently. If you're running a 4-channel amp along with a set of component speakers, those component speakers come with a set of tweeters, a set of mid-range, and a set of passive crossovers. The tweeter and mid-range plug into the passive crossovers on the output side, and then you have a single input side that go into the 2 front channels of your 4-channel amplifier. But that does give up a considerable amount of control over the tweeter, meaning when you go to adjust the gain on the amp, it will control both the tweeter and the mid-range simultaneously. Now most crossovers will have an attenuation, but it's limited. Normally the setting will be -3 dB, 0 or +3 dB. So you only have about a 6 dB range. Not a good amount of adjustment. Now the alternative with the 6-channel amp is the tweeters will get their own channel and the mids will get their own channel. So you would have full control over the tweeter adjustment. For instance, if you put the tweeters in the pillar or in the dash and the mid-range is low in the door, this normally results in the tweeter being dominant. And the setting on the passive crossover to -3 dB won't be enough to dim it down so it's not so loud. If you have a 6-channel, then those 2 extra channels dedicated to the tweeters will allow you to have full control over them, making the experience much more enjoyable. Now there are not many 6+ channel amplifiers out there versus 4-channel amps, but now more new cars come stock with lots of speakers beyond just the front and the rear, so manufacturers are starting to make 6, 8, 10, and even 12-channel amplifiers. Now Helix, based out of Germany, has been making these amplifiers for years because many European vehicles have been coming with lots of speakers for some time now. But other companies like JL Audio and Alpine also offer more than just 4-channel amps, but it's still very limited. Consideration number 2. Match power handling with RMS output. This is a critical aspect, so let's dive into it. Now, understanding the power requirements for your speakers and ensuring they will align with the amp's RMS, not peak, is important to guarantee optimal performance without risking damage to your speakers or even your amplifier. Now, as simple as this seems, lots of people overlook this important aspect. Too much power can overdrive the speakers and damage them. Too little power can send the speakers into distortion prematurely and also cause damage. When it comes to matching, exact is good, but more is better. I'll explain that in a second. But when matching, give or take about 10 to 15% in either direction will work fine. So let's say your speakers can handle 60 watts RMS and you're looking at an amp that's 50 watts RMS. So take that 15% of 60, which is 9, and 60 minus 9 is 51. So that's close enough to be within range. But in that same speaker scenario of 60 watts RMS handling power, let's say you find an amplifier that's 70 watts RMS. Again, 15% of 60 is 9, and 60 plus 9 is 69. Now that would be a better choice. Now let me explain why more is better. Now the 70 watt RMS amp is a better choice because it will give you headroom, meaning you won't have to turn up the gain on the amp higher to get the same output, resulting in the amp running cooler. Now the more is better concept especially applies for matching amps to subwoofers if the goal for your system is bass heavy, because bass amps run much hotter than amps that run mids and highs. So that headroom is important to keep the amp running cool and not into thermal. Consideration number 3, frequency range. Now audio nirvana is achieved when your amp and speakers can handle a wide range of frequencies. Obviously, the wider the range, the more dynamic your system will be. Now standard audio equipment will play up to 20,000 hertz, which is towards the higher end of the spectrum when it comes to what people can actually hear. But high-res audio can play 40,000 hertz and beyond. Now some will argue, what's the point if we can only hear up to 20K? And as we get older, this further reduces. The theory is, if an audio system can double what human hearing is capable of, then the frequencies within what we can hear will sound better. Now the Nyquist-Shannon sampling theorem says recording dictates that you must sample at least 2 times the highest frequency of interest. That would be 40K if you want to capture 20K. And when reproducing sound, the same thing applies. Now from personal experience, the high-res systems we have installed have been very impressive, especially when listening to complex digital music that is recorded to have an immersed experience. An example of this is Theatrical Natrix by Smelk. Consideration number 4, THD or total harmonic distortion. Now distortion is the arch nemesis of pristine sound quality. Total harmonic distortion, or THD, is a metric that is worth looking at, especially if you're looking to create a sound quality system. The lower the THD translates into less distortion, ensuring that your amplifier faithfully reproduces the audio signal. If you see an amp that states that it's less than 1% or 0.01, that's pretty standard and will work for about 95% of us. But for the other 5% out there looking at quality amps with the THD ratings with a couple zeros behind the decimal, such as 0.001, and if you really want an amp with low distortion, look at the Brax MX4 Pro with the THD at 0.0005. Consideration number 5, damping factor. Damping factor influences the speaker control, particularly in the realm of mid-bass and bass response. Whether you're a bass enthusiast or someone who craves precision, understanding damping factor is key to achieving the desired audio experience. The higher this number is, the more control the amp has over the speakers. Now this metric isn't something that is measured or published on all amplifiers like the things we've covered today, and normally low to medium grade amplifiers, it's not even mentioned. But your high-end amps will always have this rated. If you look at some of the Audison Hertz amps, the damping factor is between 80 and 100, and some of the Helix amps are around that same range. But remember, higher is better. If you look at that Brax MX4 Pro, the damping factor is an astonishing 1400. Now that's some serious control. And since I mentioned this amplifier twice already, you might be curious as to how much it is, and the current retail price is $7,000, and that's for a 4-channel non-DSP amp. There you have it, a comprehensive guide to choosing the perfect car audio amplifier. From channels to power handling to frequency response, distortion, and damping factor, we've covered it all. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to tap the like button. And make sure to hit subscribe to keep up with all things automotive aftermarket. Again, my name is Josh. I'm with Breaker Stereo and Performance. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.